Hey, deserving listeners, the Ultimatum Season 2, Netflix. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and professor. If you are a cast member on this show or any of the other shows that I react to, don't use what I'm saying as a replacement for in-person services. Let's watch.
Because I feel like I should, but I love you.
Okay, so I didn't catch that, but in the edit anyway, and we have no idea if that's accurate, that Dana goes over to talk to Megan, does the warmth thing, establishing territory, and then there's a cut, and then Dana walks across, and I didn't catch this, but Mel is actually talking to someone. So that, of course, just amps it up, right? That Dana is jealous that Mel is talking to someone. And instead of regulating or just being upfront, hey, when I saw you talking to that person, I thought you and I had a thing. Now I know I went over to Megan, so I get that. Instead, it's hostility and control and confident bulldozing. I'm exaggerating those words because I say that because it wasn't over the top what Dana was doing, and there's not enough data to say that, but it has hints of it, right? So let's continue watching this.
Let's talk real quick. Come. Let's just start with it. We've been here for a few hours.
And, it's a vibe thing, but the way that Dana says, let's talk real quick, come, trying to get her, maybe that's a functional thing. It's like, hey, let's talk. I want to connect, or I want to have a private conversation. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a vibe that, I don't know about you, but I'm picking up with Dana, even from the very beginning. I think I even mentioned it, that the way Dana was even hitting on Mel at the previous night is just a vibe. I don't want to say a dominant vibe or a hostile vibe or a controlling vibe, but firm.
How can you not talk to me? When we're in these settings, you definitely behave differently than when we're alone.
Who knows? But Dana, in terms of the edit, she left, or either she went over to Megan, which is one thing, or in the real world, given the edit, she actually went to the bathroom. She comes back, and because Dana's gone, Mel is talking to someone else. It looked like someone else came up to talk to her, and immediately, in terms of the edit, Dana's like, "Come here. How come you're not even going to talk to me?" Meaning, like, you're talking to someone else, and you weren't just sitting there waiting for me to come back. Again, it's edited, so we can't really know. But at the very least, this tone and the way she's talking, she could use I statements. She could speak from the heart and just say, "This is a very insecure thing for me, and I'm growing. I'm having feelings for you. I want to see the next. I've told you I want to date you. And when I came over and I saw you talking to someone else. I don't know, just kind of. That's not your fault, of course, but it just kind of worried me, and I'm getting kind of freaked out. So could I get some reassurance that you're still interested in being with me, or you're still interested in pursuing whether or not we want to be together for the trial marriage?" There's a lot of ways one can talk instead of this exaggeratory. People. Everyone does this. I've done it, but less differentiated people do it a lot more often. You'll hear always and never. You act like you don't even know me, and that's a blanket statement. And if you're Mel, you're like, what? I've always acted like I don't. What are you talking about?
Let's just start with it. We've been here for a few hours. How can you not talk to me? When we're in these settings, you definitely behave differently than when we're alone. You act like you don't know me.
I've been wanting to talk to you. It's just...
I want to believe you, but I need to see you work for me. I still haven't seen it. And that freaks me out.
I get it.
Okay, so she said, it freaks me out. It's good. And she's not being over the top, but it's definitely notable, the tone and the what are you doing for me? What are you doing for me? What are you doing for me? It's like, wait, we just met yesterday.
I don't know if it's because of Brittany. I
Has
don't know what
nothing
it
to do
is,
with
but you pissed me off.
I don't mean it. I really
Like-
don't. I apologize.
I don't know. I feel like whenever I see you with Brittany, it really seems like you guys are like very into it. Seeing you guys together makes me think that it's more than you lead on. You give me like trust issues, and like I don't know.
Yeah, it's subtle. Yeah, there's nothing completely. You could argue there's nothing completely irrational or wrong with what she's saying, but the way in which it comes out so quickly, the bulldozing aspect of it, the rapid fire, the not stopping to ask questions or to give the other person the benefit of the doubt or to just take a breather. It's just this unrelenting machine gun fire of these accusations and look what you're doing to me. You know, this is what preoccupied people do. They tend to, in that, one, they get easily hurt by either imagined or actual indications of attachment loss, meaning that someone doesn't want to be with them or breaks up with them or is moving away distance-wise or is hurtful or something. So one, they will imagine those things happening when they're not. They'll see it where it's not. And if there is something happening, either scenario, they feel it times 10 neurologically. They have a much greater sense of pain. And depending on how preoccupied they are, it can be high levels of emotional, physical pain that they feel. It's basically the same. Emotional, physical pain is the same process in the brain in this way. Anyway, attachment loss pain. Anyway, so you feel it, you see it where it doesn't exist, you exaggerate it where it does. You have an overreactive neuronal system that makes you feel things way worse than it would be otherwise. Then you have this tendency to get the other person to stop. Don't do that, right? And you will be unrelenting with it. There will be a desperation and an assuredness and a franticness to it. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I can't know, but it has that look to it. And it's just this rapid fire, and it's very sure. And if you're in Mel's position, it's just like you don't know how to respond because there's so many things happening, right?
Seeing you guys together makes me think that it's more than you lead on. You give me like trust issues, and like I don't know what to do with it.
This isn't intentional.
I feel like you're playing games.
No, it's not.
How do I know that though?
That's just something that you need to decide for yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Mel's way of responding in contrast to the way Megan would, because Dana's style of communicating was at play with Megan as well when Megan was having second thoughts, not second thoughts, but was actually saying, I want to go home. Dana had the same look on her face, the same rapid fire, the same style of statements of, look what you're doing to me. You know, you're doing this to me. How dare you do this to me? You said you weren't going to do this to me. How do I know prove it to me that you're not doing this to me? It's a common approach for preoccupied people. And it can look like what people will call like a psycho girlfriend or something, you know, someone that is overly reactive. But these are the precursors to possessive, abusive control. I can't know that about Dana. I can't even know if what I'm seeing is even an indication of anything in this direction. I can't know. But I can tell you that if I were in Mel's shoes and I was of my right mind, at the very least later on when I reviewed, especially if I had a videotape of it, I would run, because these are massive indicators of somebody that down the road becomes controlling and abusive and possessive and overly jealous and territorial and, you know, gaslighting even down the road. Not immediately, but down the road. Who knows? Maybe Dana would never do that. Maybe even if it is like that, it's minor. Who knows? But yikes, right? Again, I'm not saying anything about Dana. I'm just using these data as a jumping off point for talking about something that I've seen clinically many, many times.
I feel like
No,
you're playing
it's-
games.
No, it's not.
How do I know that, though?
That's just something that you need to decide for yourself. I'm here now and I'm telling you what it is.
Yeah, Mel is standing her ground. She's not lowering herself to getting into that tit for tat. She's not defending herself on everything. What do you mean games? No, I'm not. What do you mean by game? I didn't play a game. You were playing it. She's just like, well, you're just going to have to. That's not my intention, but you're just going to have to make your own conclusions because that's for you to decide. But I'm telling you, that's not my intention. And also, Mel is not reassuring, overly reassuring. It's in spite of how she really feels, because I think Mel, from the beginning with Dana, was unsure. I think she might have more certainty at this point. Who knows? Perhaps Mel will end up with Dana because other people have paired off and she has to be with Dana. I don't know. But for Mel, I think what she is trying to say is like, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get, and I'm confident enough to know that what you're reacting to isn't on me, and I'm not going to get into an argument with you about you. So I'm just going to say, hey, it's okay. Let's agree to disagree on what's going on with me, and you're free to think however you want to think, which might be the best response here, even if Mel is into Dana. Even if you were into Dana, that might be the best response.
I swear to God,
Tell me.
don't waste my time.
Bro,
I will run your food truck into the river.
okay. wait.
Okay, so it's said in a joking way, 100%, right? They're smiling. There's no way that Dana is being non-sarcastic about that sarcastic threat. But for people with bulldozing, preoccupied, of abusive control, there's always a ramp up. They don't start with the end result. They don't start off abusive and controlling. In fact, sometimes they'll start off opposite. But when they do get triggered, there will be initial indicators that will be looked back on and say, oh, there was a sign. And I don't know if this is an indicator of anything, but interesting, right? And you just want to look at the context. And also the question is, why, of all the things that Dana could say in that moment, why was that the thing? Because, we're in the moment, we're dealing with a lot of inputs and a lot of impulses and thoughts that occur to us. Why that thought, and why choose that thought and say it out loud? That says something, right? So it's in the midst of, hey, don't do this. Let's rewatch that.
To decide for yourself. I'm here now and I'm telling you what it is.
Dana, does her, what I'm guessing is a routinized barrage of accusations. How dare you do this to me? I can't believe you're doing this to me. You already committed. There's all those messages, right? You committed before, and abusive people will do that. They'll say, you said you weren't going to do that. They'll use that against you, right? As if that justifies the control in the moment, right? You promised at the altar that you would love me through thick and thin, and now you're telling me that you're going to leave me because of just these mild things that I'm promising you I'm never going to do again. It's that kind of stuff. So she's doing all that stuff, and Mel isn't taking the bait. Mel's just like, hey, that's not what I'm doing, but you're going to have to, I guess, make up your own choices, but I'm telling you what you're believing that's just not how it is. So what Dana, I think, would respond better to is the way that Megan, unfortunately, tends to respond, is to give in. We saw a version of that where Megan wanted to leave the show, which for her to say that and to say it on camera is something, right? I'm guessing that Megan had conversations with her producers, right? Because each person has their own producer team at this stage, and was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to go. So to get to that point, and then to get to the point where Megan comes in and talks, or Dana comes in, Megan probably wasn't having an impulsive thought. It probably was something that was going on for a while, maybe even before she went on the show. Anyway, and then Dana does her barrage, and then you just kind of see this blank look on Megan's face, and she's like, okay, I'll stay on the show. I'm even amping up. It was more like, okay, it was devoid of any kind of internal desire, really. Who knows? I'm just reading from a TV show, but that's what we saw. Dana being Dana being satisfied. She got what she wanted, And everyone in relationships, we all want to get what we want. So there's nothing wrong with wanting something and wanting to get what you want. But I'm just pointing that out. And then in this moment, she feels insecure about Mel, which is normal. But her way is that barrage, attack, accuse. How dare you do this to me? You committed, behind closed doors, before you said this. How come this is happening? And what she was hoping for was reassurance and extreme in the moment, obvious indicators of assurance that Mel would say something like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What can I do? I won't do that again. Or, hey, I love you. I want to be with you. That kind of stuff. Instead, Mel is not doing that. She's being more differentiated. And maybe it is kind of standoffish the way that she's saying it, But she's not doing what Megan is doing. And then we see, so take note of each step of the way, right? For Dana, now what people will say is that abusive control people or narcissists, that it's all volitional for the person and it's all like a plan, like they're calculating. It's like, okay, well, now that didn't work. Well, now I'm going to play this game. No. Preoccupied, abusive, controlling individuals, they have no conscious control, no conscious awareness or insight into what's happening. They're just purely reacting, almost from like a 3-year-old sense. 3-year-olds don't calculate the way that they react to hurt feelings and stuff, right? They're just like, And when we grow up, we can talk like adults, but we don't feel necessarily like adults. We don't have emotional reactivity the way that adults would. And so it just comes out unbridled and misdirected and weird. And so the way I'm painting it could be misinterpreted as if I'm saying that Dana is calculating it. It's like, okay, I'm going to play this game. Even if anything, all that I'm saying is even close to the mark, I'm quite sure that if it's true, Dana is not consciously thinking of it this way. She is probably freaking out to such a high degree, because that's the other thing about people like this is they can appear calm as they're doing this kind of stuff, but I'm guessing that she's like an 8 or 9 out of 10, and that she is not doing okay. And so it's all just frantic reactivity. And so she did that. Mel is not responding in the way that would regulate her. And Dana now can't continue doing that barrage because it's not working. And so something else has to be done. And so there's a step back energy-wise, and then there's don't do this to me or I'll drive your food truck into the river.
How do I know that, though?
That's just something that you need to decide for yourself. I'm here now and I'm telling you what it is.
I swear to God,
Tell me.
don't waste my time.
Bro.
I will run your food truck into the river.
So it's totally joking. Hands down, flat out, totally joking. But of all the jokes, of all the things one could say. Now, maybe this is an inside joke between the two of them. This is I'm an outsider watching two people communicate, so I don't know. But I just want to point it out, not to say anything about Dana, but to educate y'all about the kinds of things that at least I look for when I'm assessing personality and relationships.
Okay.
You good? How do you feel about Mel? I don't know. Something's off. Me too. Just get nervous about like her and Dana. Okay. What makes you?
Okay, then we see Megan and AJ talking, and Megan kind of whispers. Sometimes I wonder if the cast members whisper because they think that if they talk quietly, the microphones won't pick them up or something. I think sometimes that's true. But anyway, so, or it's just a reflex of they intellectually know that the microphones are picking up on it, but it feels too big to say loudly. Anyway, so Megan says to AJ, how do you feel about Mel? Which is kind of a really open-ended question. And AJ seems to kind of know what Megan's getting at. And in a really good response, AJ just asks, okay, what makes you nervous? You know, when in doubt, ask a probing question, you know, if you're a therapist or anyone else. So that's it. Because it would be tempting. I would be tempted if I were in AJ's shoes to just be like, why are we talking about this? Or what do you mean? How come, you know, to be more sure in my response or something. So instead, AJ's just like, oh, well, what makes you nervous?
Just don't think she has good intentions. The way that she carries herself is like she's just so quick to like hold someone's hand or put their arm around them. I just don't like to see like how close they look together.
Okay. It's totally normal for Megan, upon seeing the love of her life, Dana, to have bad feelings about someone that's flirting with your partner. So the feelings and the suspicion is normal, but it's such a frequent conclusion. Oh, Mel, I question her intentions. Well, we all should question everyone's intentions in a scenario like this because, yeah, you're kind of forced into a situation where you're supposed to act like you're going to get married to someone after knowing them for a few days and do a trial marriage for a number of weeks. I think they said 3 weeks. Yeah, everyone is not there to actually get married to a random person they just met. So yeah, Mel's intention, what do you mean? Like what sort of scam might Mel be pulling? Now maybe Mel is, you know, and Megan knows Mel way better than I would, right? Because they spent a lot more time together off of the edit. So I kind of like that phrase, off the edit. I feel like I said that in a recent episode. I was like, off the edit, okay. Because sometimes I'll say like behind closed doors or something, but it's not necessarily true. It's just away from the edit. They might be on camera during some of this stuff, but we just aren't presented it. Anyway, so for Megan to have those feelings, fine. But then the way she talks, I'm suspicious of Mel's intent. What do you... I've seen this before on this show and others. It's like, what it points to is a history with nefarious individuals who were plotting against you, you know, right in front of your face. Who knows?
I don't like to see that. It rubs me the wrong way.
It's not easy because I saw it with Brittany earlier, to be honest with you, and I was just kind of like, you know, this bitch in me had to pull back and be like,
Same.
AJ, you don't gotta snatch nobody tonight, it's fine.
Exactly. Mel, being that kind of person, she would like initiate physical stuff. And personally, I don't know if I can come back if they did something physical.
Now, Megan did state very certainly that she did not want to be on the show anymore. But she did verbally agree to stick it out. And okay, now maybe for Megan, she's like, yeah, I know I'm on the show, and ultimately I do want to see where this takes us. But yeah, I don't know if I know or if I saw Mel and Dana together, that could maybe ruin my love for Dana. Okay, but the way she is talking, it's akin to other people I've seen this show before where Megan is just like, Mel better not touch Dana or else. It's like, well, you're on the show thing where they do this. Did anyone explain the premise of the show to you?
I know like what we signed up for, but that's just like where my mind's at.
That would be hard.
And it's just like the fact that, you know, she's with my ex.
Or it might be with my ex.
Yeah, concerns.
Yeah.
Okay, so Megan is saying, I know that's what we signed up for, but da-da-da. And, you know, you can have weird, particularly a couple drinks, you could have some crossover weirdness of like, what's going on in my head right in my heart?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
You're
good.
good. Like, try. I know it's hard. Try to not let your emotions get the best because you're making connections too.
You want to go talk? You smell really good.
Thank you. Thank you. It's this.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.